Dan Lucas and Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com at the NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis. Scott, we're inside the convention center, the gigantic complex of the convention center. We made our way to the podium room, and we got to hear Bruce Arians and Jason Licht today. What were your initial impressions of things that they said?
Well, there's a lot of news that came out of today's press conferences. The team wants to have Gerald McCoy back. The team wants to have Deshaun Jackson back. Bruce Arians and Jason Licht have talked to Deshaun Jackson, and they've got a pretty good feel for him coming back. But I'm not so sure that by the time training camp's over, one or both of these guys will be Buccaneers. There wasn't that definitive statement that, yes, without a shadow of a doubt, Deshaun Jackson will be a Buccaneer this year, and so will Gerald McCoy. We didn't get that today, but we got a lot of love for those guys. So I think right now they're in the plans, but plans can change.
Jason Licht, I had a conversation with him as well, and you ask him about free agency when this league year begins, and I know it's GM talk to a certain extent, but I think he may be a little concerned about being able to hang on to as many guys as he wants to. When you're looking for free agents, first rule, keep your guys, right, and then see what you can do. They want to go out and search for something, maybe a defensive back, but it's not going to be easy to keep everybody they want. Not
with the Bucs salary cap situation the way it is. And when you look at Adam Humphries, I think the team wants him around $6 million. He might get as much as $10 million when he hits free agency. Quan Alexander coming off an ACL, that really puts his market value in question. And we'll have to see what the market says Quan Alexander is worth. And you have Donovan Smith as well. So with the Bucs being in a cap-strapped situation this year, I don't think they're going to be aggressive at all in free agency. They're going to let the first wave go. There's not going to be that Ryan Jensen splash, that Deshaun Jackson splash from a couple years ago. I think the Bucs will be players in the second and third tier free agent markets, getting more value type players, trying to find like the next Carl Nassib. And I know that was like a waiver wire claim at the beginning of the season, but a guy that's cheap and good and young and hungry, as opposed to, say, a Bo Allen, who's a $5 million, nose tackle. The value just wasn't there. So I think Jason got a little snake bit in free agency, and I think you're going to see more emphasis on re-signing the Bucs' own players.
Jason said he had about 5 names in mind when it comes to that 5th pick in the first round. But all of this stuff plays out, free agency, and then obviously the candidates they would like to go with that pick. Do you think as we get closer to the draft, the option of trading back becomes more enticing, especially if they find out, you know what, we have a little more on the need side than we thought.
Yep.
We don't need to get that main guy in the 5th pick.
Yeah, and it all goes back to building through the draft rather than hitting free agency to address needs, which hasn't really worked for this team. So yeah, I think that number 5 pick, you heard it, it's for sale. And I think a quarterback needy team is going to want to come up and get it. A lot of the teams at the top of the draft have their quarterbacks, and I think that's going to drive the market up. And the Buccaneers are prime position at number 5 for a team that wants to get up there and get maybe the top quarterback or the second quarterback, because there are a lot of teams below 5 that need those guys. And Jason Licht has traded down in 2016 to get Vernon Hargreaves, traded down last year to get Vita Vea. So I think that he wants to do that and acquire more picks. They only have 6 right now. I wouldn't be shocked that the Buccaneers end up with 8 or 9 by the time the draft is over.
All right, and one other thing he answered to us, if they stay with that 5th pick, it doesn't necessarily mean a defensive guy, could be an offensive guy as well. For all you Jonah Williams fans out there, could be an offensive guy. Scott, thank you very much. As always, read his work on a busy weekend on PewterReport.com. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Dan Lucas.